Welcome into Bleav Me right here on Stadium TV. Cam Rogers coming at you. I've got Kasey, Hudson, and Brandon Lang alongside as we unpack what is going to be a very exciting super wild card weekend. We've got storylines galore, and of course, we will give our outright selections for Super Bowl 58. Kasey coming off a 5-1-1 weekend. Nice job there. Let's go.
Thanks so much. I feel really good about it. Didn't want to run it in. I think Brandon's already tired of my face. But before I get too cocky here, let's get through another good show.
Brandon, tough one with the national championship. We can touch on that quickly, sir, if you want to.
I'm not tired of her face. I'm not. I'm just, I just hate when officials have a hand in what happens in a football game. That's it. And holding can be called on every play in college and pro football. Simple as that. You can watch the line and decide, maybe. And the two plays at the 12:53 mark, Washington's defense got 6 straight stops. 12:52 to go in the game, 1st and 10 on 33. 2013 game, second play, 2nd and 9, 35-yard pass down to the Michigan 30. Questionable hold call. Was it? Many say not. Social media, many say not. Throw the flag, 2nd and 21, punt. First play for Michigan, 40-yard pass to the tight end. Was there a hold? Absolutely. Grabbing the jersey right in front of the ref. No call. Those two pivotal plays in that situation at that time, game changer. 2020, 9 minutes to go in the game. Would have loved to see that play out. Now Michigan comes out a little more tight. Now let's see if they can put together a championship drive when they've been stopped 6 times in a row. We're never going to get to see that because officials, once again, both on the NFL level and the college level. Look at the NFL. Look what happened to Dallas. Look what happened to the Chiefs Green Bay with the pass interference penalty by the Chiefs didn't get it. That would have changed that. You see it across the board that officials aren't held accountable to a certain degree. There's been bad officiating all the way across, especially at critical times. And it's just a shame that Washington getting gashed early the way they did and to settle in and get 6 straight stops. And people will see a 34-13 final and think the game was a blowout. Far from it. And it's just frustrating because Michael Penix Jr., as good as he has been all year long, was absolute garbage. That's all you can say. Missed guys all night long. His head coach said we had plays to be made. We just didn't make them. Not a nice way of protecting your quarterback. There were plays to be made all night long. My quarterback just didn't make them. Penix was bad. And when you shove it all in with the number 1 pass offense in college football and your quarterback plays like garbage and you're still down 7 with 12 minutes to go, it just goes to show you how good their defense played. And they're not going to get credit for it because people are going to see a 34-13 final. So it is what it is. I'm glad I don't have to talk about Jim Harbaugh anymore because I can't stand him. He's
We're done.
Cheater. And for him to get every single call that he got all season long, it's amazing to me. Amazing to me.
This is it's a separate episode, I feel like, but maybe there is an epidemic of bad training for officials to be out there in college and the NFL because it's been a theme for like the last half decade. There's been problems with officiating. So we'll see what happens. With that said, let's dive into the games here, guys. And we're going to start off with the Saturday afternoon Texans Invitational because they always get that first game in the wild card round. Brandon, we've got the Texans getting 2.5 at home against the Browns. We've got playoff Joe Flacco, which should be interesting, but Houston kind of sneaking in by way of Jacksonville collapsing. So where's the value in this one, Brandon?
Garden Minshew. Texas shouldn't be here. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Shouldn't be here. It's a 7-yard pass to the left, probably for a touchdown, or it's 1st and goal at the 5. 7 yards. He can't put it on his body. Back, left, near the ground. Now, should he have caught it? Absolutely. He's trying to catch and run. You're putting a guy who hasn't played that much, just catch it, secure it, go down, get the first down, get us 4 more downs. He's trying to catch and run. I get it. He drops it. But that's on Minshew. Just throw it on his body. They're going to score there. It's game over. Now we're handicapping Colts and Cleveland. But now we get a rematch of a game from 3 weeks ago where Cleveland went in there and blew the doors off them. And I can't see – I said it. Stroud didn't have that great a game. But one play, Minshew, great play call. Give Scheichen credit for the play call. Perfect play call. just didn't execute because your quarterback couldn't make a throw. Listen, it was the worst throw ever made since he hit his dad in the nuts with a Nerf ball when he was 3 and got thrown in the closet all day. This is what it is. He regressed back to those days. So at the end of the day, I'm going with Cleveland. Their defense beat them 36-22 last meeting. I'm going to lay the wood. Browns.
Yeah, Kasey, Joe Flacco threw for over 300 yards in that game as well. Amari Cooper had over 260 yards receiving. Is the answer in front of us here?
I want to say yes, but look, I'm not going to turn away from the fact that rookie QBs, let alone young QBs, don't have that great of a result or statistics when they're going against experienced quarterbacks when it comes to the playoffs. But what I will say is I don't think that Stroud is a joke. I mentioned this last week. I think that he was one of my top rookies, if not the top rookie, heading into this season. And you can't overlook the fact that the guy has not thrown an interception since, November, and sits well over a 70% completion rate. I like these statistics. I like how he played versus the Colts. I like his leadership. I like his composure. But Browns defense is something to speak for itself. What I like the value in this matchup is the under. I'm going to take the under 44.5 total here because I think that both defenses are going to step up tremendously. While the Browns have a sharper defense or edge ever so slightly, they're sitting at 3.5 yards per carry. Texans are only sitting at 4.6 yards per carry. So depending on what they put up offensively, we could be looking at a whole different battle here. I really kind of take the Texans for a win, crazy enough.
Listen, I like both of your plays. I like the under. I like Cleveland. Remember when the Bengals and the Texans would play in the playoffs and it was 13-10, TJ Yates was playing and Andy Dalton. I see that happening as well, but I'm going to go with Brandon officially on this one just because I think Joe Flacco has a major advantage with that defense, that run game, that offensive line, but like the play as well, Kasey. All right, let's talk about the Dolphins and the Chiefs. We've got question marks galore with both teams, Kasey. We're talking about 10 degrees. We've got a Miami team on the road in Arrowhead. But by the way, the Chiefs have not looked like world beaters at all this year, Kasey. So you got the Chiefs laying 4 at home. Where's the value?
Yeah, this is probably the matchup I'm least looking forward to. Neutral ground didn't do it for the Dolphins, and when they were playing against each other in Germany, that's kind of where I was riding high with my numbers and my cash-ins, and then they disappointed me tremendously. But what I cannot shake mentally right now is how you barely beat the Chargers. But you said it. The Chiefs have just kind of been this fracture of a team the last 6 weeks. You don't know what to expect from them. But when it comes down to being realistic here, some of the biggest ways to beat the Chiefs is by going crazy in the pass rush. They're down 2 of their top pass rushers, that being the Miami Dolphins. They're still pretty fractured on their defense. They barely they only put up 14 points the other week. So looking at these numbers, looking at the fact that they won't be able to really compete defensively, going to the cold, not the best road numbers there, I have to kind of slide with the Chiefs here. I do see it being a closer game, though, than anticipated because the Chiefs are going to chief at this point.
Yeah, Brandon, it's chalky at -4, but the Dolphins are 3-7 against the number when facing teams with a winning record.
I'll say it again. When I sat there on Monday night and watched Vic Fangio and that Dolphin defense give up back-to-back touchdown drives against the Tennessee Titans, I said to myself, they're done. I said the Dolphins are done. They're absolutely done. Mike McDaniel respects Vic Fangio too much to take control of situations. The first drive from Levitt, there was not one blitz. When they're up 14, cut it to 7. They go 3 and out, they punt. Second drive by Levitt, no blitz again, where McDaniel has to get on the headset and say, listen, I want you to bring the house. I want you to speed up this rookie. We're coming after him. Let's go. Didn't. Went right down and scored again. They lose the football game. Next week, they beat the Jets 30-0. I get it. Dallas gives them the game with the fumble on the first possession and could never recover those 7 points. And then, of course, what happened? Go up to Baltimore, get blown out, and now come back home and lose to Buffalo. They're done. They're absolutely done. And as much as I hate the Chiefs, as much as I hate Andy Reid, as much as I hate these State Farm commercials, seriously, I hate the Chiefs more than I hate last night's game. They're the right side because I literally just can't see Miami rallying after blowing the division, now having to go on the road in this weather, banged up. I just don't see it. You have to take Kansas City and force Miami to show you that they can go on the road and play a competitive football game against a winning football team, blown out at Philly, blown out at Buffalo, blown out at the Ravens. Until they show you, you can't trust them. Lay it with the Chiefs.
Yeah, when I feel like not laughing, I watch those State Farm commercials and The Office. Both things are not funny to me. We're all on the Chiefs.
Like we need
Never
to see
seen The Office.
like we need to see Andy Reid reaching for fries and nuggets and nuggets. Like he hadn't missed a buffet since Christ came back 2,000 years ago.
Chiefs minus the 4, all 3 of us. All right, let's talk about the Steelers and the Bills. The Bills, all of a sudden, number 2 seed in the AFC. Kasey laying a 10 number against a third-string quarterback in Mason Rudolph. We're talking about no TJ Watt in this one for Pittsburgh. 30 miles per hour winds are expected. Bills are on a 5-game win streak. Where's the play?
I hate to be that person that's like, no TJ Watt, full destruction. So I'll do a small little highlight. Mason Rudolph has stepped up tremendously. He didn't have a great numbers or reputation or conversation surrounding his name heading into this season, but you're talking about a guy that's now averaging 27 points per game. But without your leading sack guy in the league, bringing that pressure, forcing mistakes against a team that is, highly regarded defensively and getting things together offensively, I don't see. Then you're adding in the weather situation. Then you're talking about a team that's better and more formidable when it comes to crazy weather. Well, Buffalo is always throwing a curveball, so I think that they're going to be able to manage there. The bigger aspect here for me is going to be the Bills' money line. I don't disagree here with anything that can potentially go down. The Bills are building and have beat the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. Laying 10 with the Bills has won them, and like they've had a few blowout style games, but too crazy. So that's where I'm just kind of throwing up some question marks. But Pittsburgh has lost by more than 10 points by a number of games, and you can never know what to expect from them, especially if they're missing their leader. And you see the tone change with TJ Watt in the game. So my play here is a money line.
Bankroll builder there. Bills money line against Pittsburgh. By the way, Brandon, 2-6 are the Bills against the number when favored by more than a touchdown.
Yeah, you look at them down the stretch to go out to Chargers, who the week before gave up 479 points to the Raiders. They were a 13.5-point road favorite. Probably should have lost that game outright. Came back home, struggled against New England at home. And then go down to Miami. And if they probably don't get the punt return for a touchdown, they're probably not here. I mean, think about it. They could not do nothing, overcome the turnovers, 3 huge turnovers. They needed that punt return. They probably don't win that game. And consequently, Miami's sitting at home in the cushy, warm weather, hosting the first playoff game. So it's weird how everything changes on a 96-yard punt return. I think it's too many points. I love the under. I don't think either team's going to light up the scoreboard hurt. So my play is the under. But it wouldn't surprise me if Pittsburgh covers this number. It wouldn't, even without TJ Watt. I just think Pittsburgh matches up well with Buffalo. So I have a little lean towards Pittsburgh plus the points, but I'll take the under all day long, especially with the inclement weather.
Yeah, I'll take both of those plays, Bills money line and the under. And if you're on Pittsburgh, wait, because I think that number will shift to maybe 10 and a hook, 10 and a half, could get to 11. We shall see. But TJ Watt out for Pittsburgh. That is not good for Steelers fans. Okay. Historic rivalry here. Packers, Cowboys, this one in Dallas. It could have been the Ice Bowl if it was in Green Bay. 10 degrees out there this weekend. Dallas laying 7 and a hook in this one, Brandon. Mike McCarthy, revenge game. Where's the value?
Greatest stadium in the country. Took my daughter there 2 years ago. It's incredible. It's just incredible. There's no other way to say it. Better to be playing there than in Green Bay. It's funny. Everything Green Bay does well plays into the weakness of Dallas. And it's something about that division. Detroit went into Dallas. I thought it was going to be a blowout. I thought Detroit had nothing to play for. And Detroit probably should have won the game outright. And then we'd also be talking about a whole different playoff scenario when they got robbed with the lineman reporting eligible. I think Green Bay goes in here and covers this number. I think they're going to keep it close. I think the young defense matches up well, but more importantly, everything Green Bay does offensively plays into the hands of what Dallas's weaknesses are on defense. For that matter, Matt LaFleur in the month of December and January is filthy. Give me the points with Green Bay.
Plus the 7.5 with the Packers for Brandon. Kasey, for what it's worth, the Packers are the youngest team in NFL history to make the postseason.
Oh, I love that. Well, let's stick with the young. Look, Dallas is averaging well over 30 points per game right now. Biggest thing is how are the Packers going to slow down a quarterback that posts up 300 plus, passing yards and makes it look easy? Their defense is coming into this matchup sitting 17th in the league for yards allowed, which is not too flashy, but makes a point. Their offense can do some inconspicuous things there, but they might be without Christian Watson, who, by the way, was one of my top players to look out for coming into the league. So I could see this being a little high scoring. I can see the Cowboys taking a minute to get their shutdown rhythm going. So I can maybe like the total here, maybe almost over, but I think Cowboys cover the spread, depending on what Christian Watson's status may be. But as for the Packers slowing down the Cowboys offensively, I don't particularly see it too well. I see a second half takeoff here.
Yeah, I think Dallas really runs away with things in the third quarter. I like the minus, the 7.5. I'm with Kasey and Dallas. All right, let's talk about the game of the weekend, right, guys? The Rams, the Lions laying 3, Matt Stafford versus his old team, Jared Goff versus his old team, Dan Campbell in the postseason, Hard Knocks, all that good stuff. Kasey, where is the value in this one?
High scoring, within 3. I like both of these. So we're looking at the fact that I don't see consistent strings of strong defensive plays from both of these teams. Wow, that was a mouthful to piece together. Now you're talking about the Lions being without one of their red zone guys in Laporta. Lions defense is allowing 25.6 points per game, which is scary versus a healthy LA offense team. So I see a lot of points going up here, and I'm leaning with the Rams on this one. I think that they just started to take pivotal plays and build on the good, and they faced a lot of adversity and still showed up, pulled off some pretty big wins, even if they weren't explosive wins or, dominant wins, double-digit wins by any means. And I think this is kind of how they sneak their way into the Super Bowl a few years ago. Not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I'm seeing a lot of parallels to that season and where their turning point came in. So high scoring, like the over total here, and I like LA to take it.
Yeah, Brandon, listen, you alluded to it earlier before going on air. It seems like the pros are going to be on the Rams because you can't go chalk across the board in the NFL playoffs. Where are you going here?
No, it's a matchup problem for Detroit. Earlier this year, the Bears went in there and dominated Detroit. Jordan Love went in there, dominated Detroit. The Rams have the same type of offensive scheme. Sean McVay is such in tune with Matthew Stafford right now. This is a team that's won their last 7 of the last 8. Only loss was to the Ravens in overtime. And if you watch that game, many will say the Rams outplayed them. The Rams should have won the game outright. That's the best team in football. Detroit went into Baltimore, lost, I think it was 38-6 or something around there. Rams went in there, should have won the game outright. You're getting 3.5 of the team that's on fire right now. And the most dangerous team in the NFC, and a team nobody wants to see, much like everyone's saying about Buffalo in the AFC. Nobody wants to see them right now. The Rams have played quality football for quite some time right now. Veteran quarterback on the road, first playoff game, returning home, getting 3.5. It's just something you can't pass up. That Rams defense is playing well. So I'm going to take the Rams, and I love it. Santa Lang, 2024, come down the chimney. Rams, plus 3.5.
One of these quarterbacks won a Super Bowl. The other lost a Super Bowl. Let's go with the winner in Matt Stafford. We're on the Rams plus the 3 and maybe worth a money line sprinkle. Okay, this is gross, guys. It's on Monday night. We've got the Eagles. We've got the Bucs. Kasey, I want to root for your team here. Bucs are getting 3 at home. Eagles have looked terrible over the last month. Are you going with Tampa Bay here?
I'm not. I am unfortunately not going with Tampa Bay. The hard part for me here is even though the Eagles didn't have this flash, they beat them earlier in the season 25-11, whatever. There were some good things that the Bucs did do in that game, but you're going against an offense that had a lot of mental errors, that was going against a fractured defensive line, not really getting their guys involved, trying to establish the run game, which has been the theme of this team for too many seasons now. The hard part with it is that you play a Panthers team and you cannot get in the freaking red zone, and you only put up 9 points versus them. Play calling has been an issue for this team for seasons, and I'm not blaming Dave Canales, but I'm saying he needs some time to get his feet underneath him. He needs some time to figure out the strong suits for this team, and the minute that they get a rhythm going, their go-to is Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and maybe Rashad White. it's not very versatile and it's not very flashy. So I think that even though the Eagles have faced a lot of woes, I think they probably come in with a better game plan to not beat themselves. So unfortunately, I cannot swing with the Bucs on this. And crazy enough, I like the over 44 total. I think it can get a little messy in a number of ways. Again, 25-11 earlier in September. The Bucs offensively has come together a little bit more, so they could potentially find the end zone. But last week just discouraged me a lot.
Yeah, Brandon, listen, the market could not be any lower than it is right now with Philadelphia. So it almost seems like a trap here to tempt people into Tampa Bay.
Listen, I've won a game involving Philadelphia all year long, except when they went in Dallas. So if I pick with them, they lose. I pick against them, they win. So I'm going to take them, so they'll lose. So take Philadelphia, -3. Buy down to 2.5. You're good to go.
Okay, there you go. That's going to wrap up Super Wildcard Weekend, and that will allow us some time now, guys, to give our official Super Bowl 58 predictions. We've got outright numbers. The 49ers, despite getting blown out by the Ravens, are the favorites at 2-1. Baltimore +330. Buffalo +550. Dallas 8-1. You've got Kansas City at 10-1. Philadelphia at 16-1. Brandon, going down the board more, you've got Detroit at 20-1, but where are you going here?
Hate to say it, but it's a rematch of the Monday night game. It's Ravens-Niners. No one's going to go into San Francisco and beat them, and no one's going to go to Baltimore and beat them. This is not going to happen. Home field will be critical in both conferences. And at the end of the day, it'll be a much better game than it was in San Francisco. Purdy's not going to have the 4 interceptions or whatever it was. It'll be a very competitive game, but I got Ravens-Niners.
Okay. Who wins the Super Bowl, though?
Ravens.
Okay.
But again, I have to see what the line is.
Right.
If the Niners are favored, the Ravens are favored. I don't know. I mean, I have to believe it's going to be a really, really competitive game, and the line's going to be tight, 1.5, 2. But I'm anxious to see what the line is.
+330 for the Ravens, Kasey. Where's the value in your mind?
So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that it's leaning more towards the Ravens 49ers, but I would love to see Bills 49ers. Two pretty stout defenses going against one another. I want to see how ugly a game like that could get. But depending on what you're looking at, like Brandon said, the line, the value, where the favoritism is, I would also like to look at the value being where the totals are at, depending on how many points each team is putting up and how strong these defenses come in. The under is swinging very heavy and cashing out for people this season. So I'm going to continue to ride that underline with a lot of games until we close out the season.
Tell you what, in August of 2023, I picked the 49ers 30, Buffalo 27. I am sticking with that prediction. I might as well, right? I can't deviate.
Love
so
that.
I'm going 49ers, 2-1. There you go.
There we go.
We'd love to hear it. Best of luck to your bets this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Bleav Me right here on Stadium TV. For Brandon Lang and Kasey Hudson, I am Cam Rogers. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you next week.
Are you looking for your next favorite podcast binge? Then look no further. Search for your team at www.Bleav.com, where you can find sports analysis from former pro athletes, scripted comedy shows, pop culture, health, and much more. That's BLEAV. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bleav Podcasts. Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Bleav.